That's Donald Stratton, and that's me.
And then his Christmas wish was to meet Donald Stratton, one of the survivors from the Arizona.
So good to see you, buddy.
Everything that Landon has learned from PBS, it's immeasurable.
This is for you.
Thank you, big guy.
He is living proof of the effect that PBS has had on his life.
You're watching New England Public Media, WGBY Springfield.
Before they were born, they lost their fathers in the tragedy of 9/11.
Why did he have to go to work that specific day?
They came of age in a time of social unrest.
It definitely took a toll.
Forged by loss and resilience, PBS traces 7 young lives as they carve their own paths in an ever-changing America.
I feel motivated to make a difference.
Generation 9/11.
Tune in or stream Generation 9/11 August 31st.
Coming up, stories we're connecting you with tonight. A local bakery that's a tribute to a bygone era when folks gathered around the table for food and conversation.
Food can bring people together. It can cross divides. It's a cultural phenomenon that breaks down barriers.
A summertime festival that's filling the streets of Great Barrington with music.
We wanted to create a cultural smorgasbord where you could walk up and down the street, where every single street corner there would be another surprise.
And we'll take you off the beaten path as we go chasing waterfalls in the Berkshires.
I come here often just to sit next to the falls. I don't really want you to make this into one of the greatest places in the state.
We'll bring you those stories and more up next on Connecting Point.
Support for Connecting Point is provided by our contributing viewers.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us for Connecting Point. I'm 𝗕𝗸𝗿𝗀. Food and community go hand in hand, and when you throw in nostalgia, few can resist. Granny's Baking Table in Springfield is a nod to the past. Their mission is to create a space that harkens to simpler times when baking was done from scratch and the table was for gathering and conversation. Owners Sonya Yelder and Todd Crossett will be the first to admit that operating a business based on small batch baking and going up against national chain coffee shops is far from easy. But their commitment is based on a belief that the best way to return downtown Springfield to the way it was is by doing exactly what they are doing. Producer Dave Frazier brings us the story.
It's 5:30 a.m. as the sun begins to rise over Springfield. Sonya Yelder and Todd Crossett have been at work for more than an hour in a tiny kitchen at 309 Bridge Street. They tiptoe around each other in some pretty tight quarters, sharing one oven in a building that was once a former dress shop.
It is working out of a food truck, and that's the only way I can describe the kitchen we have, is working out of a food truck. It's small, we produce as much as we can out of the small space that we have, and it works.
Up front, Sonya makes biscuits, pies, and muffins, while Todd works with laminated dough on the back table, making croissants and Danish.
When we first come in, we don't really talk. We just kind of do our own thing. You know, I got my own stuff, and I'm like, this. And then he's back there talking to himself, and which I don't do.
These are our Danishes. This is the Danish dough.
The two opened Granny's Baking Table in November of 2019 in downtown Springfield, just a few months before a pandemic would all but wipe out their customer base, as many businesses kept their employees at home.
Maybe not the best time to open. You know, you look back on things, and you're probably in a couple of years, I'll look back and go, maybe it was the best time for us to open. You know, because now we can say we survived a pandemic.
Just last month, Granny's had their official grand opening, complete with a ribbon cutting and a visit from the mayor. Both Sonya and Todd grew up in Springfield and recognize that downtown has changed a lot over the years.
This was the place to be. This was where people shopped. This is where people, dined. This is where people hung out. This is where they did everything. And it went away.
Some consultant once called downtown Springfield pale and stale. And I'd always complained about downtown Springfield because it was kind of boring. And one day I just said, well, what are you doing about it, Todd?
He started selling beignets, a French pastry featuring dough and powdered sugar, from a bicycle with a sidecar. Meanwhile, Sonya was running her own sandwich shop in the city's Forest Park neighborhood. The two partnered up to form Granny's Baking Table, named after Sonya's grandmother.
My grandmother was one of those rise at the crack of dawn. She made biscuits from scratch. You know, you can still because she's passed for many years now, taste like cakes that she made. I can still taste those things.
Granny's is a bit of a blast from the past. There is a simple menu displayed on a chalkboard. There are old black and white pictures on the wall. Some are of family members, others of random individuals that reflect the diversity of the city and its downtown. There is one long table for people to sit at, and oh yeah, no Wi-Fi.
Regardless of naysayers in the beginning who said, oh no, people are not going to go for that. You know, they want little tiny, you know, so they can sit. I'm like, yeah, that's not what I want. You know, I want people to sit around and have a conversation and get to know each other.
You know, food can bring people together. It can cross divides. It's a cultural phenomenon that breaks down barriers. And you add a table like this, one family table, and you put really good food in front of people and everybody's enjoying it. People who would not normally talk to each other, talk to each other.
Every Friday night, Connecting Point explores the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. But it doesn't stop there. You can find us online anytime for exclusive features and content. July is National Ice Cream Month, and in this week's digital exclusive, producer Dave Frazier brings us the scoop on one local parlor that doesn't just sell ice cream, they make their own.
I have about 45 flavors that I have all the time. Cookie dough, chocolate chip, pistachio, all the things you'd expect in an old-fashioned candy store. And some more adventurous flavors like lavender, rose and cardamom, strawberry basil, things that not everybody would want, but the things that people would look at the menu and say, oh, that's interesting, I really want to try that.
Don't miss this digital exclusive, available online right now at nepm.org/connectingpoint. For musicians, performing on the street, otherwise known as busking, is a time-honored tradition. Usually busking isn't an organized event, but a festival this summer is taking over the streets of one town in southern Berkshire County. Berkshire Busk is a project designed to improve economic development and community engagement in downtown Great Barrington while showcasing a diverse range of music and musicians. I spoke with festival director Eugene Carr to find out more.
Busking is a term that refers to a street performer, a musician, an actor, a dancer, someone standing out on the street, performing and hoping to get tips. And it's a tradition that you find all over Europe, and actually in Australia and New Zealand, not as much in the United States, but it's an opportunity for performers to get out without having to sit in an audience or without having to sell a ticket. You just walk up, you listen to a performer, and if you like what they're doing, you put some money in their tip jar, or you send them a digital Venmo or something like that.
The Berkshires are well known for its rich culture and arts community. Where did the inspiration for Berkshire Busk come about?
Well, it starts kind of right at home. I'm a cellist myself, and though I studied classical, because I've been up here in the Berkshires, I've met a lot of bands, and I was invited last summer to sit in with a jazz band, and I did my best to keep up with them, and we played outdoors. And during the pandemic last year, it was really an incredible opportunity to actually be in front of people and performing. So as the winter progressed, I thought, wow, wouldn't it be an incredible opportunity to take what was already a little bit of busking that was going on the streets of Great Barrington last summer and really expand it and turn it into a multi-week festival. So I approached the town and I came up with this idea, all born from my own experience of actually playing on the street as a busker.
Now, this summer series will be featuring a different lineup of acts varying in art forms each weekend through September 4th. How were the performers chosen, and what can people expect to experience during these weekends? We actually use social media to promote the fact that you could apply. And I was amazed that we got over 150 applications from performers, the vast majority, I think 75% from Massachusetts and from New York State, but we got applications from people in Cleveland and in Texas and in Provincetown. And so over this summer, we will have somewhere around 125 different groups or individuals
representing about 250 performers, and they span the gamut. I mean, every kind of music, whether it's blues, country, jazz, singer-songwriters, covers, oldies, you name it. Plus we have jugglers, mimes, magicians, somebody doing card tricks. We have clowns, we have mimes. We wanted to create a kind of a cultural smorgasbord where you could walk up and down the street, just like perhaps your experience at a museum, where you go from room to room and you see all different kinds of art. We wanted to have a different cultural experience where every single street corner there would be another surprise.
After a challenging year that we all had grappling with the pandemic and its effects on the economy, how does an event like this benefit a small town like Great Barrington?
Yeah, well, it has, there's sort of multiple overlapping benefits. The first and foremost was we figured, first of all, performers want to get out and play. There was a lot of people like myself that were cooped up for a year and wanted to get out and perform. So number one, we wanted to create an opportunity for performers. We also wanted to create an opportunity for the community to get out. It wasn't clear as we were planning this in the winter whether we would be masked or unmasked, but we realized that an outdoor event, aside from the weather, an outdoor event would give everybody the opportunity to get together. The third really leg of the stool was, could we get community support in the form of sponsorships from companies? And we've got almost 40 sponsors that stepped up and said, we'd really like this to happen. And of course, the final thing is we wanted to fill the town with people who are going to eat and shop and help the restaurants come out of the pandemic. So it was sort of interlocking and overlapping benefits that would benefit not only the town, performers, vendors, all of that all together in one nice bunch.
Over 40 sponsors, that's an amazing accomplishment. Were you at all surprised with the support that you received from the community?
I have to say I was. You know, traditionally fundraising, you go and sit down with somebody and explain your project and they meet you. We had to do all of this essentially virtually. And that was the big surprise, that we could actually get community support and do it in a way without actually meeting face to face. So I was very, very gratified. A couple of the town leaders, the select boards, and some of the leading businesses really stepped up and encouraged me and opened the door to their friends and to their associates. So I was very, very pleased with it. Yes.
Now, the first Berkshire bus kicked off early July. How has it been going? What has the community's reaction been? How has the turnout been?
Well, you know, the turnout in the first weekend was, shall we say, hampered. We were all drenched. We actually couldn't put any buskers out on the street during the first weekend, but every other weekend we've been operating. This coming weekend looks to be fantastic. The community reaction has been great. We are working in partnership with Simon's Rock, which is a local college, and one of their marketing research professors is fielding a study. So we're asking people on the street, how are you enjoying it? How is it improving your view? And so the results, I mean, I don't have the full data. We've done about 100 surveys so far, and on a scale of 1 to 5, how are you enjoying it? We're like at 4.88. So I think people are really, really enjoying being out on the street and seeing live performances really in their backyard.
With an arts background yourself, being a classically trained cellist and entrepreneur, what has been your favorite thing about organizing this festival?
Meeting the artists and the performers in person and then seeing them perform. It's one thing to watch a YouTube video, to have an email back and forth, but then to be able to walk up and say, oh my goodness, they're fabulous. And to really enjoy the art that's being performed, that it's sort of like a photograph that's black and white and suddenly it's color. And that it's been a real discovery, even for us who have been planning this thing, to really get out and see all the amazing performers. That's been the most incredible part of this project.
You mentioned earlier that busking is well developed in Europe, in Australia, and you would really love to develop that sort of culture here. What do you hope the future of this festival will become?
We're really trying to create a new culture of people understanding that art can be performed on a stage, it can be performed in a museum, it can be experienced outdoors or indoors, and it also could be on a street corner, which isn't even meant as a stage. So we're trying to infuse, if it's even possible here in the Berkshires, we're trying to infuse even more arts and culture into the community.
While Western New England may not have access to the ocean, it more than makes up for it in the many rivers and waterfalls throughout the region. Sometimes you just have to know where to find them. Connecting Point's Brian Sullivan went off the beaten path to visit some cascades in the quiet and rural Berkshires town of New Marlborough and discovered that this very wet and rainy summer has only made them that much more glorious.
This rushing water may be one of the few silver linings to all of the rain we've had so far this summer, especially for fans of flowing cascades like these here. Normally, the season for heavy waterfalls wraps up in late spring, but now that season has been extended to the mid to late summer months, and I personally couldn't be happier. My quest to locate the finest torrents in New England has brought me to this quiet southern Berkshire town of New Marlborough. The somewhat difficult to find location is known as 𝗕𝗿𝗀𝗀 Falls, and according to the unofficial guide that I met on my arrival, the locals here would prefer that this gem maintain its hidden status.
I don't really want you to make this into one of the greatest places in the state. When I came here, I'd never heard of it 25 years ago, and it's wonderful as a place of repose. I come here often just to sit next to the falls because it's a peaceful place.
It's a place where local artists like Shelley Haven and others do their part to capture the essence of that peacefulness with their chalk etchings. The falls they're looking at are at the tail end of the 𝗕𝗿𝗀𝗀 River, which drains off into the 𝗂𝗏𝗏 River as seen here from the picnic area of the park. This eventually feeds into the 𝗬𝗏𝗏. From this relatively small, residents-only parking area, visitors have quick and easy access from the park to either the dirt path along the falls or the rocks. I chose the rocks, and as the rumble of the water quickly turned to a roar the closer I got, I was amazed at how easily accessible everything was here.
Of all of the falls that I've been to in the past couple of years, this place seems to be the most user-friendly. There's so much space to walk along the waterway, and there are so many different pools that they actually recommend people use. So I'll probably have to dive into one of them before I get out of here.
The walkway in the woods was less a constructed path and more the result of countless feet passing over it for decades. And that's just fine, because it offers a nice vantage point of the rapids, while occasionally getting a glimpse of some local inhabitants going about their business. Eventually, this polar bear found his way under this 10-foot drop of sheets of water coming down at near fire hose intensity. And it turns out I wasn't the only one experiencing these waters for the first time today.
I have some friends up in Hillsdale, it's about half an hour away from here. And I just skipped out from work and took a little hooky, and I was like, we're going to go for a swim. And they're like, you got to go there. If the water's right, it'll be good to go into the waterfalls, but little did I know to expect that.
Ideally, this 5-acre park is for town residents and their guests only. But if given permission with the promise of leaving the park the way we found it, out-of-town first-timers like myself are allowed in. Now, I can't recommend that anyone else walk barefoot through the water over these rocks, particularly with camera equipment. But since I didn't pack proper footwear, I did what I had to do to visually capture these glorious rapids while the water was running so unusually high. As mentioned earlier, this is the back end of the roughly 8.5-mile 𝗕𝗿𝗀𝗀 River, a waterway named for the Housatonic Indian chief who once fished these waters in the 1700s. And while that kind of historical information may not appeal to the kids, for some adults, it's just what they want to hear.
I was a history teacher for 46 years, and this place is also enticing for me because of the Indian legends that are associated with the falls. So for me, it's a win-win situation. I got history, I got a peaceful spot, and I'm time with my grandkids.
What I found surprising was that, according to the New England Waterfalls website, 𝗕𝗿𝗀𝗀 Falls only received a 3 out of 5 stars rating. Now, I'm not sure what the criteria are, but I can think of at least 2 first-time visitors who would add a couple more stars to that rating.
I would recommend this place 1,000 times. It's, I mean, it's so much more than I expected. It's so easy to get to. The water is amazingly accessible, and it's a little slippery. It's just a beautiful, quiet spot.
Award-winning journalist Richie Davis is back with a new book entitled Goodwill and Ice Cream. This collection picks up where his last book, Inner Landscapes, leaves off, sharing more true tales from extraordinary lives from throughout our region. The stories span 4 decades and were originally published in The Recorder, the daily newspaper in Franklin County where Davis worked as a reporter for nearly 45 years. Davis joins me in the studio to talk about the book and the importance of local journalism.
One of the stories was about unlike any of the other stories, it was basically a tour of all of the Franklin County ice cream places, of which there aren't that many. I mean, they all kind of sell the same stuff. A lot of them do. And 10 ice cream places on the first day and 7 on the second. The 𝗬𝗍 is a friend of mine, 13 years old, who I took along because I figured, how can I describe like the differences between ice cream? And so Ethan 𝗬𝗏𝗀𝗀𝗀 came along with me, and because I knew he could articulate things in a way I could never do it. And we finished up the second day, and we went to the Ashfield hardware store, where Laura Bissett, who co-owns the store, said, we want the spirit of goodwill and ice cream to prevail, because they were selling ice cream for $1 a cone or 50 cents for kids. And goodwill and ice cream just kind of spoke to the spirit of the whole book for me.
Now, Goodwill and Ice Cream serves up true stories originally published in the Greenfield Recorder, spanning over 4 decades. How did you go about choosing which stories to include in these collections, and how did it feel to revisit the stories?
Well, you know, there are stories that are there to entertain. We tell stories to inform. But what was really important for me is stories that really nurture the soul, and the stories that are local, but stories that really are universal and where you can read between the lines and come away with a lot more than the black and white that's in front of you. And so the first book was really focused on personalities, profiles of people I really thought were should be included because I didn't want them to be forgotten. And the second book, there were a lot of different kinds of stories, some of them not all local people, but there were stories that I felt were universal, and they had something to say to people. There's a story about Auschwitz. There's a story about Robert J. 𝗫𝗏𝗔𝒻𝒻, who was a public radio announcer. And there's a story about a documentary about farming families that I thought really spoke to the area.
You're speaking about this wide range of stories that are included in these collections and the personalities that are in them as well. You have a recovering substance abuser who becomes chauffeur, a bodyguard, and sometimes wrestling buddy for the Dalai Lama, to a self-taught fiddler who weaves community with his bow and heart. Which story or themes in this collection really speak to you the most?
Well, you know, I dedicated the book at the very, very end to David Kaner, who was that fiddler who died about a month ago, and who is really central to not just the community I live in, but to fiddlers around the world. And he's very inclusive in inviting people to just play and to come in and join in. And I think that's the spirit of goodwill.
In the book, you also touch on the changes and struggles of the newspaper and print industry that you have witnessed in your nearly 45 years as a reporter and editor. What is the value and importance of community journalism?
I think local media can really help bring people together and really inform people about not only who's in the community and what they're doing, but give people a taste of the richness of the diversity within the community, and also ideas that people adopt and bring in and ways to share. And I just think it's really important.
One part in the book that really stood out to me was when you said, quote, "For years I was seemingly left behind as I watched fellow reporters leave for the big time or give up newspapering for what others considered a real job." Why did you choose to stay in this area? What is it about living in this region, specifically Franklin County, that is so special to you?
I just feel like we are so lucky to live in a place that's just rich in just having the space to suggest that people should be inviting each other in to participate in fiddling and playing and dancing. If you can't dance, do it anyway. A lot of the pretense of more areas that are more built up and more rigid is really somewhat absent here, and I think that there's a lot of latitude for people to be themselves, and that just appeals to me tremendously.
And in an online exclusive, reporter and author Ritchie Davis reads some of his favorite stories for us from his latest book, Goodwill and Ice Cream. You can find that as well as extra features, digital-only content, and so much more online right now at nepm.org/connectingpoint. And that does it for Connecting Point for July 30th, 2021. Please be sure to join us again next Friday night at 6 right here on New England Public Media for more stories of the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. I'm 𝗕𝗸𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀. Thanks for watching and have a great evening.
Support for Connecting Point is provided by our contributing viewers.
La donna è mobile, qual più malveno, 𝗬𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗀 di pensiero, sempre amabile, leggiadro viso, in pianto riso e menzognero, la notte è mobile, qual più malvento,
Before they were born, they lost their fathers in the tragedy of 9/11.
Why did he have to go to work that specific day?
They came of age in a time of social unrest.
It definitely took a toll.
Forged